Hey there, I'm Kyle Brothersen with Dirt Bike Channel, and today we're going to be talking about the best forks on the planet. Stick around. So recently I've kind of gotten a little bit of a reputation, I don't even know why, as like a KYB hater. There's a lot of people, I found out one thing that you can do in the last 6 months to be able to like turn the entire internet against you, or at least the dirt bike internet, is to say anything bad about KYB. What I found out is this is kind of like the Holy Trinity. You don't want to like speak ill of the KYB because it's sacrilege. But what I wanted to do today is just kind of talk about my experience with the last 3 bikes that had KYB on them. Everybody kind of, there's a bunch of people out there, I should say, I shouldn't paint with too broad of a brush. There's a bunch of people out there that think, oh, it's gonna be good because it's got KYB. And they're like, oh, I'm so excited because Sherco just came out with KYB and Gas is gonna get KYB and Yamaha's got KYB, so you know that's gonna be the best fork out there. The truth is actually, the fork, the way that the bike feels and the way it performs is so much more about the geometry of the bike and the valving inside. It doesn't matter whether it says KYB on the side. I've got 3 bikes in the shop, only one of them is in the frame, and all the forks are fantastic for a different reason. This KYB fork here is absolutely stellar, and it's stellar for the slow single track stuff, and it's really interesting because the bike I had just before this was a Yamaha YZ250FX, and that was a KYB setup, and it was fantastic, amazing out in the desert, but it wasn't very good in the slow stuff, like the choppy stuff, single track with rocks and roots. It wasn't valved properly for that. And then the bike I had before that was a 2020 Beta 300RR Race Edition, and that one was horrible, and it had KYB. So I had 3 bikes in a row, and they were all so different. And I guess the message of this is that it isn't about what it says on the side, whether it says KYB or WP or Sachs or Showa. What really matters is how it's valved on the inside, because there's literally an infinite number of combinations of valving that you could do inside of a fork like this that is going to affect how it performs. So it doesn't matter whether it says KYB, WP, Showa, any of this stuff. What matters is it set up for your weight, and is it set up for your riding discipline? You're going to need something totally different if you're riding motocross as to what you're going to need to do if you're doing hard enduro or trail riding or something in between. So it's very, very important. But this fork, I just wanted to mention, this fork here on this 2020 Sherco 300 SEF factory is very, very plush. It's so amazing. It could not be any different from the other KYB fork that I had, which was on the Beta. They're on like 2 opposite sides of the spectrum. This one happens to be a pretty plush and pretty like, you know, mellow fork that can get out of its own way and do some single track stuff and feel really good and not deflect. Whereas the Beta on the other side, still a KYB fork, but it was so stinking harsh in the mid stroke. It was just horrible. It was like pogo sticking everywhere. And so it isn't as easy for you to say, like, look on a spec sheet and say, oh, Sherco is going to have this fork, it's going to be good, or Beta is going to have this fork, it's going to be good, or KTM or whatever, because you've got to see what they valved, what valves are in the bike, and then go ride the bike and see if that works for you. And obviously, they have to set them up for a narrow band of weight, but kind of set it up so it works for a lot of different people in a lot of different areas. And so you may need to go get your suspension revalved after you get the bike. This one so far, in the little bit that I've ridden it, it's bang on, and I don't want to touch it because I think it's fantastic. And the KTM that's out of the shop, there's an XC over here and an XCW over here. They're valved differently, and I love them for different reasons. And so I'm super happy. This is one KYB fork that I definitely will not be touching. The last KYB I had on the Yamaha, I didn't touch, but if I was going to do a lot more slower single track mountain riding, I would have had to revalve the Yamaha KYB fork. This one, I'm just going to leave it how it is. I haven't been riding it out in the desert yet, but I've just been so excited about how it worked in the slow single track, handling the chop and stuff, and I'm like, that sucker is awesome, and it is night and day different from what the Beta was, and quite a few shades different than what the Yamaha is. So no, it's not as simple as, oh, it's got KYB, it's going to be the best fork out there. The best fork is the one that works for you, that's valved properly for what you want to do, the discipline that you want to ride. And you may have to spend a little bit of money to get there to make you feel comfortable in those situations. So it's just one of those things. That's all I've got for you today. Super short and super simple. If you want to support Dirt Bike Channel, you can do so by using the links down in the video description, or using, if you go to dirtbikechannel.com right now, up in the upper right hand corner, there's a links button up there. You can click on that. There's links to Rocky Mountain ATV, Amazon Motorsport, and yeah, you can use those links and it helps to support my family. We also are doing Dirt Bike Channel sweepstakes where we give away bikes. I will be giving this bike away later in the year once I've done a full review on it. We'll be giving away this 2020 Sherco 300 SEF factory, awesome bike. This one along with a couple of others. I'm not exactly sure what we'll be doing, but look for that in October, November, December timeframe, and you could have a shot at winning this bike. So I think that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully you're having a great summer, and when you watch this video, I will probably be out on a lake somewhere, hopefully, and enjoying some time with my family and set these things to preload. That's kind of how I do it. So in case you were wondering, that's how I can put out a video every 2 or 3 days. Never take a day off. It's because I do it all in advance. So anyway, that's what we've got for you today. Loving this KYB fork. Super different than the last couple that I've had. They're all different. So that's what I've got for you. Leave a single track. Thanks, guys.